Greetings and welcome to this 7th session of Hereticus, if I'm not mistaken. I might be, but I don't think I am. We first off we apologize for the gap in sessions. Unfortunately, we were unable to play last time due to scheduling reasons, but we're back and we hope that going forward we'll be able to play on a more regular basis. But
life does happen from time to time.
Life happens, yes. But since this is a bi-weekly game, it kind of sucks when we have to skip a session.
It sucks when it's on a weekly game as well. You know?
Yeah, it does. That's true.
You never want to cancel because, in a perfect world, we would be sitting around the table doing nothing but playing role-playing games forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is basically the definition of utopia. Yes, that would be cool. Okay, so last time we took a trip to the 41st Millennium. The acolytes, I'll keep it rough because, quite frankly, I don't remember the details and I haven't listened to the last episode. But you investigated a church, a cathedral, in fact.
You got very messy.
Yeah, you suspected that the bishop there was involved in some way in heretical business of some sort, or rather. That's not exactly true, because what prompted you to investigate the church was a flood of people fleeing the church.
Yeah.
And when Medea and Tim were the first to arrive, and when they entered the church, they found the bishop by the altar, apparently in the process of removing his ribs. They were unable to communicate with him. What happened then? Do any of you have a more fresh?
Yeah, we the two of them, of course, tried to communicate with the man, not with any success, might I add, and. Not long thereafter, Francesca and Achelon arrived as well, and a whole heap of shenanigans and violence ensued. And Medea and Timotheus went up into the spire as of the cathedral just as the Adeptus Arbites began to arrive. There was a face-off, so to say, a showdown out in front of the cathedral with the Arbites wanting to take Achelon into captivity, and Francesca being completely and utterly unwilling to accept such a premise, because just all the no in the whole world, and it led to a lot of angry exchanges and and so on. But in the end, we were allowed to leave. After the two who were still inside the cathedral basically watched the priest that we'd spoken to previously in there take a death ride down through the spire on top of a pile of dismembered corpses, only to crash to his death down below. And he said he used some kind of expression, I can't remember what was, or was that the bishop? He did say something about, something that sounded distinctly heretical or whatever, and then after that we left. However, there was this item, basically clearly some kind of cultist, chaos, horrible, nasty item on the altar,
Yes.
which we brought with us. We basically smuggled it past the Arbites and brought it with us back to the Tricorn. And everybody except Francesca had massively nasty visions because of this thing.
Yes, that is true. And when you returned, you were debriefed, of course. Your fellow acolyte Trina. You gave her a thorough report, and there was a bit of you talked to her about the political situation, the political standoff between the Inquisition and the Adeptus Arbites, and how that made things a bit muddy here on Scintilla. And we ended with the mention that you would be subjected to hypnochemical treatment.
Yes, we did get, or at least I got, the distinct impression, and therefore Francesca got the distinct impression that acolyte Trina thought it was an entirely pleasurable experience to tell us that we were about to be tortured, because for some reason the woman really doesn't like us. I have no idea why, but that's the impression she leaves us with. Well, leaves Francesca with anyway.
Yeah. Well, I can't confirm nor deny that she's a sadist, but yeah. Okay. Also, I should mention I have finally managed to write up brief bios of the other members of the Inquisition that you've interacted with so far. Specifically, Drill Abbot Essos, which is he's the man in charge of the chapel in your quarters. You should be able to see his bio. I'll just show it.
Yep.
In any case, as much for the viewing audience as anything else. That's him. He is formerly he was attached to the Scintillan Fusiliers, which is the Imperial Guards that are recruited from Scintilla and sent into onto the many fronts. And then there's the quartermaster, Casor, also of the Scintilla, formerly of the Scintillan Fusiliers.
He's taken a beating.
He's taking a beating. He has taken a beating. Yes.
I don't think a beating can make you look like that.
No.
If the beating involves chainswords.
Fair enough.
Whatever the case, he's now assigned to the Inquisition, serving as quartermaster for Inquisitor Dex. And then of course there is acolyte Trina. There's no image of her yet because I haven't been able to find one that matches, and I'm considering commissioning some artwork from Inkari. But yeah, there is at least a bio of her.
Yes.
And then of course also the Inquisitress herself. There's an image. It is a placeholder, but I really like the idea of her being much like the witch hunters of Warhammer Fantasy in the style, the broad-rimmed hat and and all that.
It is also quite a common look for the Inquisitors, so it works.
It is, and like I said, it's a placeholder, but the style and so on that is Inquisitor Dex. Okay, cool. So, I think unless you guys have anything you would like to roleplay before we get into the unpleasantness of the hypnochemical treatment, we'll stop with that. But is there anything you guys would like to roleplay before we do?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
I think Francesca is basically secluding herself in prayer until such a time arrives that she is supposed to report for this hypnochemical thing, and then she makes sure to be there 15 minutes early.
Okay. Okay. Well, then the day following your return from the cathedral, you are all summoned to the Medicae center. You have there is in the section of the Tricon that you reside in. There is also a medical bay, as it were, a Medicae center. You haven't had much of a use for it until now, but that's about to change. You're all summoned there. Acolyte Trina is in attendance, as well as this guy. You haven't met him before. You haven't met him before, but
mad doctor.
That is definitely what the kind of imagery he's invoking.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but you do.
Hello. Yes. Hello, test subjects.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Some of you do recognize the symbol of the Medicae that he's displaying on his his apron, I think.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I think it's his cassock, really.
Yeah,
but
maybe. Yeah. Whatever the case, you do realize. Well, most of you do. I'm not sure if Medea actually has ever met a Medicae, but the others certainly do recognize him as a medical professional. He's there, and like I said, Acolyte Trina Holster's there, and the Inquisitor himself is also in attendance.
Oh dear. My
yeah.
goodness.
Good minus.
Good, good minus indeed. When you've all entered, she waits until everyone is there. So, Sister Francesca, you'll have to wait 15-ish minutes in awkward silence, or not awkward because
there's always prayer.
There is always prayer. But once you've all arrived, she takes a step forward as if to address you, and she looks at all of you, and she nods at all of you in greeting, and then says, "I don't know if any of you have ever experienced a hypnochemical treatment before. I somehow doubt it, but I'll explain to you what's about to happen. In a short while, you will, each of you in turn, be instructed to undress and lie down on this table." She indicates a table. It's basically just a steel slab, where Master Chirurgeon Anselmons will inject certain chemicals into your body. These chemicals will they will be immensely painful for you. Basically, they will assault every nerve in your body, and thus open up your mind and let us peek inside, as it were. Drill Abbot Esos Vince will accompany us shortly, or join us shortly, and he will maintain a vigil over your body while this happens. once this is done, we will know if the warp is present within you. As I understand it, you have been in contact with the warp, or at least something tainted by the warp, and we need to know how it has affected you, if at all. Of course, we hope it hasn't, but it is something we need to be mindful of if we are to send you out to do the God Emperor's work. And as she says that, Drill Abbot Esos Vince actually does enter the Medicae Center, and he nods at each of you. To Sister Francesca, he nods a bit deeper than to the others.
She returns it.
And he takes his place at the end of the table. Inquisitor Dex looks at Tim and indicates that he should undress and place himself upon the table.
Then that is what he does without hesitation.
Okay, good. And he is what's it called? There are straps that that are tied so that he can't really move at all.
Probably for his own safety as well.
For his own safety as well.
I imagine the thrashing shall be mighty.
Yes, indeed.
Hopefully they place something in his mouth so he doesn't accidentally bite his own tongue.
They do, and there's also a strap to hold his jaw. Keep his jaws apart so that he won't bite down.
Good.
And then Master Chirurgeon Ansel Mons, there's this mobile table whereupon lie several instruments, none of which look pleasant at all, and several small vials filled with chemicals of some sort, liquid chemicals, and it takes a while for him to fill certain syringes with these chemicals, but he does so. Meanwhile, Drill Abbot Ansel Mons is deep in prayer, and Inquisitor Dex actually indicates for Francesca to join him if she so wishes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then the pain starts as these chemicals are injected into Tim's body, and the Inquisitor wasn't kidding when she said that every single nerve in Tim's body would be assaulted. It is a pain unlike anything Tim has ever experienced before, and even though in reality it only lasts for the treatment lasts for a total of 10 minutes.
It feels like an eternity.
It feels like an eternity for Tim, who's lying on the table, having various interesting chemicals injected into his body.
Yeah. Maybe not eternity. At least 40,000 years.
At least 40,000 years, yes.
Couldn't they have started with morphine?
No.
Nope.
No, it's specifically the pain that opens up your mind for their probing, after all.
Yes. Speaking of...
Yeah, my mouth is stuffed, so the screaming probably isn't that loud.
No, but the sound certainly does come from Tim. Sounds of pain and anguish. Something like that, yes. And speaking of probing, you all notice, well, all of you except for Tim, and I don't know, Francesca, when you pray, is that with eyes closed and somewhere else entirely, or are you aware of your surroundings?
I am, I would say she is probably more than simply praying. She is probably, once again, lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Cool. Fair. Cool. Okay, so those of you who are aware and present notice that the Inquisitor Dex, has her eyes closed and her head is bowed. So you can't see her eyes because the brim of her hat is obstructing your view. But you can see her shaking immensely while this is going on. Finally, the pain subsides. The Inquisitor looks up with a smile on her face and nods at Tim. For Tim, the pain vanishes as immediately as it came. As soon as the chirurgeon stops whatever he's doing, the pain subsides. He doesn't feel any more pain.
Are my senses affected?
Nope. Well, there is a certain clarity to your vision. That you, it feels as if your vision is even more clear than it was before, and Tim hasn't, I imagine, had any issues with his vision before, but
no, the sniper isn't nearsighted.
Nope. Exactly.
No, I imagine that even if the pain stops, his brain is still reeling from the assault for
sure, there is
a few moments after.
Sure, absolutely.
Takes a little while to get over something like that.
That's definitely a thing, yes. And the chirurgeon doesn't give him any sedatives or anything. So yeah. But the Inquisitor nods, apparently satisfied with what she's witnessed, and indicates for Medea to undress.
Deep silence.
Medea!
Hiya, are you there?
Alright, muted.
Ah,
That
Alright,
happens.
you have a cat that doesn't really care what I'm doing, he just wants to go.
There's not much we can do about that, I'm afraid. It's all
Nope.
Okay, so but yeah, Medea is ordered to undress and lie down on the steel table.
Sure. Why not? Privacy has never been a thing anyway.
Nope. And since the Inquisitor is doing the ordering, there's not really much of a choice.
Well, I blasted to the head.
Sure. That's always an option, of course. Okay, so she undresses and lies down, and basically she's given the same treatment, except
She explodes.
so Medea saw what happened to Tim. She saw how violently his body shook, and how the veins popped out on his. You could clearly see the veins as every muscle in his body was on fire. Not so much with Medea. There's really no pain at all.
So basically she's just, you done yet?
does she actually say that?
Yeah, well, she's been laying there for a while. She doesn't really feel the prick, but his hands on her arm and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. And then she just, I'm sure she can't move, but her eyes goes over and through the thing. Through the gag like.
So the Inquisitor, who was about to begin whatever it is she does to probe your minds, looks up at the chirurgeon, who in turn looks at her, rather puzzled, by the absolute lack of physical pain, and he looks back down at Medea, and he leans close to her and says, "So, do you feel nothing?"
Kayla call.
What?
Kayla call.
She's saying that the table is cold.
Oh, but I don't. He looks back at the Inquisitor. This has never happened before. It should work. Let me give her another dose. And the Inquisitor just nods. She doesn't look at all pleased with the current situation.
Please don't let him get killed because you can't feel pain.
So he gives her another injection, the same dose that she got before, and still there's absolutely no effect. And after the third attempt, Medea is asked to get up off the table and put on her clothes and follow Trina. Does
Gets up, jumps down from the table, puts on her clothing, looks over at him with a, "Do you even know what you're doing?" And follows Trina.
he looks rather nervously at the Inquisitor.
Oh, Medea doesn't give a shit. I'm the one worried about him.
No. But he absolutely gives a shit. He's rather concerned. The Inquisitor just looks over at Accolon and says to him, "So."
Francesca is somewhat confused by this, however. Doesn't make her stop praying or anything, but she is confused because it was her clear impression that the Inquisitor was aware of the mutation.
What mutation? Medea doesn't know she's mutated. She's never been told she's mutated.
No,
she just don't know what pain is.
Exactly.
But she has had a headache before because of stuff people did to her, so...
But yeah, she looks over at Accolon and says, Let's see if the good chirurgeon can't get his treatment to work this time, shall we?
Oh, don't give him a triple dose, though.
That would probably kill him.
Exactly.
Yes.
I hope he's not trying to overcompensate now. That would be very sad for Accolon.
Yep.
Yes.
Poor guy. We knew him slightly.
Yes. Thank you, Medea, for potentially making Accolon's experience just that little bit more painful.
Welcome.
I'll get you in your sleep, I promise you. Anyway, yes, Accolon looking a bit concerned, not for himself, but for Medea and the chirurgeon. He does as he's told. He manages to pull off his robe, revealing his pretty thin, pale body and all the pipes and plates that cover his head and back to, contain the warp within his head. Lies down as best he can on the table without, crushing any of these pipes and plates in any way that could compromise the system, and lets himself get strapped in.
Okay. It should be mentioned that when Accolon readies himself for the treatment, another person enters the chamber. This person is completely enveloped in robes, and you can't see any details, but she stands beside the Inquisitor.
Do I feel anything? Just out of morbid curiosity.
You don't feel anything.
Okay.
In fact, do you attempt to actively feel reach beyond? Basically, do you attempt to use cynicians? Is what I'm asking.
No, best not do
Okay.
anything that might spook anyone while this is happening.
Okay, cool.
Clever.
Clever Akalon.
Mm-hmm.
The temptation
Also,
was
I'm guessing that the table is a little less cold now.
Okay, so you lie down on the table, and the good doctor starts the injection. She starts with the treatment is a bit different than with the others. You notice that where before he started with a black chemical that he injected into Medea, and Tim this time he starts with a white injection. And Akalon doesn't feel anything as the he does feel it as it enters his bloodstream, but other than that he doesn't feel any pain or anything. But the pain comes afterward in the shape of this black injection that the others also got, and it works just like it did on Tim.
Yes. I'm sure that the doctor is very, very happy and satisfied when he hears when Akalon basically goes completely taut in the straps and just goes.
Yes, the churchman does sigh an audible sigh of relief as Akalon reacts the way he does.
Yeah. Oh, good. He's in agony.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, it
Just
worked.
pointing out, I no longer feel sad for the man because you called him the good doctor, so he's evil and he should be killed.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's true. But yeah, it does work. I need for you to roll me a willpower test for Tim.
But what?
A
For my-
willpower.
okay,
for
Chris,
Akalon.
roll me my willpower save,
For
please.
Akalon, I'm sorry. Okay,
2.9 degrees of success.
cool.
Very nice.
So you only experience this eternity of pain. So that's good.
That's good.
Yeah. And then it ends as it did with Tim, and you are asked by the Inquisitor to remove yourself from the table.
He does so. As expediently as possible. That was quite unpleasant.
Yes.
Makes it and
That's
makes
far.
his way back. Yes, and puts his robe back on a bit, sort of
Okay.
shakily.
And last but not least, the Inquisitor indicates for Sister Francesca.
Of course.
To
She looks a little bit relieved. She had feared that for some odd reason she might be told, no, we don't need to with you, blah, 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 which
Yeah.
would have made her feel distinctly uncomfortable.
yeah.
So, without further ado, she gets, I would say she gets undressed down to her small clothes, but, there is such a thing as rules.
Mhm.
Monastic rules and so on. So not completely buck naked, but
No.
just down to her small clothes, and then up on the table she goes.
Sure.
Oh, we were getting to know each other so well.
And there are no objections to this or whatever. That's absolutely cool. And she
Completely
is
unfair.
well. And then she's given the same treatment as the others, and she also experiences.
She doesn't fight it, incidentally. This is quite important. She takes it without struggling against it.
Mm.
If she does anything, she tries to open her mind
Okay.
so that they can sense what is there. She is not interested in struggling against this. She knows perfectly well that it is for the good of everyone, including herself.
Sure. And this, I imagine, the others see is a Sister Francesca whose muscles don't Words.
Words.
Whose muscles don't clench and whose veins don't pop out and
I imagine she's still in a world of pain.
She is.
But it's at a slightly different level, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Trojan does register. I should have mentioned this before, but he puts some of these similar to what you in our time when you measure heart rates and cardiac the cardio systems, these pads, and he's done the same so he can monitor on a cogitator. And he does register pain. He's satisfied with what he sees.
Yes.
But her reaction is different than Tim's and Akalon's physical reaction. And then after this experience, she's also asked to leave the table and put her clothes back on.
Well, she does, obviously.
Okay. And then the Inquisitor leaves the room. Trina has already left the room with Medea, and Ansel starts removing his instruments, his medical instruments, and you're pretty much left to your own devices. And this hooded figure as well leaves along with the Inquisitor. So what do you do then?
Well, Francesca looks at the other two who are still there, and considering how awful they clearly felt, she is in absolutely no hurry to basically, okay, that was it. Now let's go and, let's go to the training yard. Yeah, not today.
Okay.
So she mostly just, she's observing the others to see how they're handling it, if they are handling it.
Tim is using his usual calming down techniques while fixing his clothes, I think, because staying calm is quite important in his profession. So I imagine he has a few techniques.
Yeah, I imagine so. And Akalon, how is he handling it?
He exploded.
I think he's muted.
I think he might be.
It's all that Botox.
You think correctly? Yes, the world's worst Botox injection. I was saying, while muted and unheard by all the world, he's a little bit pensive, a little sort of. The after effect of it is strange, but he is actually in some ways not used to quite what happened there, but he did stand before the Golden Throne and the Emperor and was sanctioned in ways that can. He was subjected to forces that drive lesser men mad and cause people's teeth to fly free from their jaws if they're not strong enough. So he's handling it fairly well. But he is kind of like it's new to him, and he's also wondering what to do now.
Yeah, Francesca does have this thoughtful or contemplative look on her face, and. As she looks towards the door through which, what's her face?
Medea.
No, well, yeah, her too. I was thinking sadist lady. Yeah, Trina, where she walked out. And then she shrugs and looks at the other two again and says, I imagine that both of you could do with some rest and recovery after that experience.
Perhaps, but I slept well enough before this. Quite frankly, I'd like to regain a feeling of control over my own muscles again, if that requires mere walking, or if it requires training, whatever. I don't mind.
Certainly.
I was debating the same thing, whether to go rest or to go
Shoot.
work this out.
Yeah. I personally think I shall go by the quartermaster to hear if the flamer I requested has yet arrived.
That's a good point.
I'm getting close to the point where I need to requisition something else.
True. Speaking of, I wonder if it's worth requisition, since it is implied that our coming trials might involve urban combat, to put it obliquely. Might be worth requisitioning some better armor, if they even allow such things.
I suppose that would be allowed, and certainly I can't imagine that they don't have some forms of armor. Possibly, I don't know, maybe at least a flak vest or something would be available for you.
My current quilted vest is very effective at stopping the truly lethal effects of foul language.
Yes, I'm sad to say that due to monastic vows, I shall not be able to verify this for myself, but I will take your word for it.
Well,
although I will be perfectly honest with you, she says, and makes a face at long last. After this particular experience, I feel like kicking an orc. Hard. Somewhere soft.
It's an orc, sister. Do they have anywhere soft?
Their heads, if nothing else.
I think most places are soft if you kick hard enough.
Yes. Good point. Good point indeed, Tim. Yes. It's only a matter of how hard you kick.
And how often, I suppose.
Yes. I should like to kick aforementioned orc many, many, many times until it goes sort of squishy. Turns into green paste on the ground.
Finally, she says something like this, and Medea is not here to realize she's actually human under all that.
Well, let's as tempting as wonderful a mental image as that is, perhaps we should look at doing as we said and requesting or seeing if previous requests for new equipment have arrived. At the very least, if you do get this, yes.
If the flamer is there, then obviously I have something to go and spend the rest of the day on, practicing with it.
Yes, you can learn how to. You might even learn how to make orc brisket.
I do have to say here, my good friend, I draw the line at actually eating the foul thing.
I wouldn't know. I've never.
It is a filthy xenos and not for eating.
Very true. Goodness me.
Thou have you not heard the word of Saint Epicurus? Thou shalt not ingest the foul xenos.
Indeed, I have. Dear me, sister. I've barely been at this a year, and I'm already becoming loose-tongued and.
Yes. She actually, grins crookedly.
I'm going to go and get myself some armor, he says, and
you do that. Let's see if my flamer has arrived as well, shall we?
I think I'll go work on my cardio.
Okay, so
I don't know if that's an actual term he would know.
No,
Oh,
I think it might be.
I think it is. He's not medically trained, I imagine, but still, the word cardio is something a
If
marksman
nothing
would
else,
know.
yes. Plus, of course, we do actually have to remember we speak a form of Latin,
Yes,
not English.
yes.
Well, in that case, that's what he's doing.
Okay. And Sister Francesca and Akalon go visit the quartermaster. Okay.
Yes.
We shall, for a brief moment, hop over to Medea. Medea, you
Yes.
were
Yes.
escorted by Trina to a small cell where you were asked to sit down, and Trina just stood there by the door watching you.
Well, I don't think Medea can keep this for herself. So she just studies Trina for a moment. I really look forward to seeing this. Too bad you had to leave with me.
I'm not quite sure I know what you're referring to.
I knew you would.
You are a strange one, Medea.
I've heard that before.
Yes. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Anyway, let's not waste time and air talking. We shall wait until the Inquisitor arrives. And she does so shortly thereafter. Or rather, not shortly. It takes 20 minutes to a half an hour. It takes however long it takes for Akalon and Sister Francesca to complete their hypnochemical treatment. So half an hour or thereabout. And then the door opens and the Inquisitor enters. Along with the robed figure. I don't think Medea actually saw this figure when she was there, because the figure entered after she'd left. The Inquisitor kneels down beside Medea and looks at her silently for a moment, then says, "You know, the treatment you just had is a variant, albeit a very weak variant, of the same kind of treatment that the angels of death themselves undergo from time to time to open their minds. Did you know that?"
What's an angel of death?
Oh, sweet, sweet Medea. The Angel of Death is a term used for the legendary Space Marines.
Space Marines!
What's a space marine?
No, she goes, oh, those I've heard of.
Yes, I imagine you have. And yet, 3 doses of this treatment, and you didn't feel a thing. You didn't open up to me. That both worries and fascinates me.
Well, it's hard to open up if it's pain that opens one up.
For most, the opposite would be true. But for you, I suppose.
I never thought much of this, but I'm starting to feel that feeling pain is something everyone does, just not me.
No. See, I knew about your gift or curse or whatever you consider it. But I was certain the hypnochemical treatment would work even on you. Apparently it doesn't. Oh well. I should have to do this the hard way then. Medea, would you please close your eyes?
Alright. She closes her eyes.
Medea doesn't wear a hat or anything, does she?
She did have her hood, but
Oh.
it's not on right now because
Okay.
she's wearing the robe.
Okay.
The thing she got before she left.
Okay. So the Inquisitor puts a hand on Medea's head and Medea gets, it's a strange sensation. It's not pain. She has felt actual physical pain once before, if I remember correctly.
A headache. I won't
Yeah.
call it physical pain because it was something rummaging around and it wasn't, oh my god, I have a headache. It was more like,
That's true. She does sense something. It's as if her head is no longer her own head. It's as if there's someone else in there. It's rather uncomfortable for her, but it's not. It's not pain or anything. But she is aware that
someone has just knocked and walked in without being asked.
exactly. And this someone is rummaging around in her head, opening the drawers of her mind and examining her, her past, her present.
Well, that past is going to be interesting to around later.
Yeah. And-
yeah, about that.
And then the sensation stops. She doesn't know quite for how long it's been happening, but it stops, and she hears the Inquisitor's voice say, "You can open your eyes now."
Medea hasn't looked uncomfortable, just fascinated. You know, like, ooh, what's this? This is weird. Ooh, what's this?
Sure. And the Inquisitor looks at her with she smiles, a warm smile, and says, "You've led an interesting life, Medea. Most importantly, though, you are unaffected by the taint of the warp, and this pleases me. It means that I have no hesitation when it comes to sending you back out into the field to do my work and the God Emperor's work."
Alright.
And with that, she stands up and she walks toward the door, nodding toward Atrina, and says, "You can release her now." And then she leaves the cell.
Actually, I imagine that her visit in Medea's brain has been that of someone walking into a house that has a dog, but the dog is more interested in the person than barking because someone trespassed.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
just rolling around with, ooh, what are you doing? Ooh, what are you doing? Ooh, that's my bedroom. Ooh, that's my kitchen. Get out of my cupboard. You're not supposed to eat my food. Ooh, where are you going?
That works. Okay, cool. So Trina just after the Inquisitor has left, of course, she also leaves and leaves the door open. And I think we shall take our first break, and we'll be back with more Hereticus in a moment.